are super expensive in Japan.
Here, right?
Yeah,
super expensive.
it's crazy.
Living costs in Japan, is it expensive or cheap?
Well, if I compare it to where I live now, which is Singapore.
Hi, I'm Soichiro from Japan. Today, I'm gonna ask the foreigners about living costs in Japan. Is it cheap or like expensive compared to your country? And that will be like interesting. I also doing my Instagram as well, so please check it out if you haven't. Let's get started. Okay. Oh, thank you for support.
Of course,
Yeah.
no worries.
What's your name and can you tell me your background and a little bit like introduction?
So my name is Cade. I came out here originally as a high school student, went back to the US for a few years. Now I'm back out here getting my undergraduate degree while I work a few jobs on the side.
How long have you been here? So for in Japan?
The first time I was out here for about 6 months, and then it's coming up on 2 years since I came back, so about 2.5 years total.
What do you do now?
So I go to school. I study international business, and then I do just a few side jobs. The one that I kind of spend the most time on, I'd say, is I write about music. I write for like a small online magazine.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. I really enjoy that job the most.
And
like something in particular?
Are you interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's so many things. Like for example, the public transportation here is really good. But overall, I just have to say that.
Like compared to your city?
So in Northern California and Texas, where I'm from, both places they don't have any trains, and in Japan there's a lot. But also, I mean, I just have to say that living here for so long, it's just kind of the overall lifestyle that I've become used to. It's not just one thing, it's many different things, I'd say.
Living costs in Japan, is it expensive or cheap?
There's there's some things that are far more expensive. I'm trying to think of a good. Definitely my rent is higher here than it was living in Central Texas and Northern California, but also both places are well known in the US for being extremely expensive. So I think that's part of probably just living in a very large city, is just how expensive the rent is. But otherwise, I'd say it's not all that much more expensive. Also,
like going out to eat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also there's a few things I save a lot on. For example, I don't have to buy gas. I don't have to pay for car insurance. I don't need to own a car in Tokyo.
Oh, also you can use like transportation.
Yeah. Also health insurance. That's a huge one out here, because it's all nationally subsidized. So I mean, in the US, I have to pay crazy royalties, and if I do get injured, I have to pay a lot, for my hospital bill. But in Japan, it's
like a problem in the state, right?
Definitely. I think it's a huge problem, and I think that's one thing that Japan does very well. I mean, I went to the doctor, I'd say maybe it was probably about a year ago now. I had some kind of influenza or something. I ended up getting medicine and my whole doctor consultation for like less than 2,000 yen. Whereas in the US, I mean, even with my insurance, getting prescribed medicine that could have cost me a couple $100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, depending on what it was, easily. Yeah.
You came here during your a high school student, right?
Yeah.
Because of your parents' job or something.
No, I got really a little bit unhappy with my education in the American school system. And I decided that I wanted to go somewhere else, and I decided on Japan. I don't think either school system is perfect. Actually, after that, I ended up just skipping and going to college. But yeah, I came out here. I just found a scholarship that allowed me to come out here. So
what was it like the first time you came here, and what was it most surprising things in Japan? When you were in the high school, or
Yeah, I remember the first, when you travel from the US to here, it's such a long journey. So I was super sleep deprived. And I remember the first kind of thing that was so strange for me was, I walked into one of the not even a konbini, it was a kiosk in Narita Airport. And I walked up, and they were however much it was, and I just handed them a bill. In the US, you kind of hand money hand to hand, and they're like, put it in the tray. Like they looked at me like I'm like, oh my bad. Like so I mean, there's small things like that. I'd say the biggest thing was I came to Tokyo. I had a few days here, and then I went to Shizuoka where I was living.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the most rural part of Shizuoka, but it was definitely much different than Tokyo. And so it was really interesting to go to this new country, get adjusted to Tokyo and just how big the city is, and then move to a suburb of a small city, and just like whoa, like there's just like a huge difference.
I think that's it. I
awesome.
appreciate that.
Oh, of course, man. Of course.
So
Glad I could help.
Yeah. What's your name is? Can you introduce your background a little bit?
Yeah, so hello, my name is Clara and I'm from Spain, and I've been in Japan for 1.5 years now, almost 2 years, and I live in Nagoya.
What do you do in Japan?
So I work. I'm actually taking a career break from finance,
Okay.
and now I've been working as a teacher here. But I'll be going back to Europe because I don't know a lot of Japanese, so it's difficult to find a job in my career.
Do you think that like living cost in Japan is expensive? And your case is you're living in Nagoya, though.
So I can't say a lot about Tokyo, but Nagoya, I mean, I think it's cheaper for sure. So like
Cheaper than Tokyo?
it's cheaper than Tokyo, that's for sure. Like rent was even cheaper than in Spain.
Yeah.
I live in like a pretty old house, and yeah, it's very, very cheap. I would not say that vegetable and fruits are super expensive in Japan.
Here, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like one day to celebrate, I bought a watermelon, and that's like because it's ridiculously expensive compared to back home. Like in Spain, you can afford it easily. So
how about like compared to your country, like going outside to eat at a restaurant, it is expensive?
I think here is cheaper, like to eat, like to eat like ramen or like any like out meal, like lunch. It's pretty cheap. But of course, you also have like more expensive restaurants, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cheap here to find food.
And the last question is that do you have like any recommendation for the apps for the foreigner who want to come to Japan?
I use all the time Google Maps.
Okay.
Although a lot of people say don't trust the timings, but it has worked for me always. So, and it's very useful. It tells you exactly what exit to leave the station to get to the point. I would say that I would like to have an app more. I mean, there's the website of like Timeout here in Tokyo, which is also in other parts of the world, but not for other like smaller cities like Nagoya.
Yeah.
That is a little bit difficult for foreigners to like know what's going on in the cities. So maybe it's a business idea.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. That was interesting, and that's it. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. See ya.
Hi, I'm Soichiro from Japan.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Shweta. Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Shweta.
Shweta.
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. How long have you been here in Japan?
I came 2 days ago.
2 days ago?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes, I came here for a meeting only for 3 days, so I'm going back tomorrow.
From? Where are you from?
I'm an Indian living in Singapore.
So how do you like Japan so far?
I love it here.
Yeah.
The people are so friendly.
Yeah.
Of course, my colleagues, they are very friendly, very kind and polite. I'm a vegetarian, so they took extra care to find the restaurants with good vegetarian food. So yes, I had a lovely time this afternoon having lunch with my colleagues at a vegan restaurant in Shibuya, and it was really nice.
Okay, and I would like to ask about like a living cost in Japan. You've been here for the few days. Go out to eat at a restaurant. Is it expensive for you or not?
Well, if I compare it to where I live now, which is Singapore, it's not expensive to eat out here in Tokyo. I believe it is similar.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, it is similar. Maybe a little less expensive than Singapore, but if I compare it to my hometown, which is Delhi, it is a lot more expensive.
Okay.
Right. So yes, it's somewhere I think closer to Singapore cost of living. Of course, I don't know how much does it cost to rent a place, but the cost of renting a room in a hotel and cost of going to a restaurant, getting a meal and buying drinks on the way, it's pretty much similar to Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How about like a transportation, like taxi or like a train or bus?
Okay, so I use train only for a very short distance, and I thought it was again similar to Singapore, and same with taxi, pretty much similar to the cost of taking a Grab in Singapore. It was quite similar.
Okay, I think that's it. And thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and you're welcome, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like most of the people say that the food in Japan is not expensive. Also, like transportation is not expensive, but like only renting an apartment, like a Shibuya for the one room, it's gonna be like $900. It's kind of expensive. I'm gonna upload this kind of videos, so don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.